If you sit quietly in a room and look at the glowing screen of your device, you can almost hear the faint, ambient hum of a world that does not exist physically, yet occupies almost all of our waking attention. Feels familiar, like a second home. We remember when these digital spaces felt like endless plains. We remember the early days of online forums, virtual worlds, and simple multiplayer games, where the horizon seemed to stretch out forever, unmapped and unowned. It was a playground in the truest sense of the word. You could log on, adopt a pseudonym, and build a digital cabin in the woods of the early web, free from the gravity of your real-world identity. It was a chaotic, beautiful, and deeply human experiment in collective imagination. But if you look closely at those same spaces today, something feels different. The air is slightly heavier. The horizons have been replaced by high, polished walls. We did not notice when the fences were built, because we were too busy enjoying the games inside them. The transition was silent, almost polite. It began when we stopped just visiting these worlds and started living in them. We wanted more convenient ways to connect, so we accepted the invitations of platforms that promised to organize our chaos. They offered us free tools, beautiful interfaces, and the ability to find anyone, anywhere, instantly. Felt like a gift. But in the architecture of the digital age, a free gift is often a foundation stone for a fortress. Slowly, the open web began to consolidate. The vast, decentralized archipelago of independent websites, blogs, and self-hosted servers started to sink, while a few massive, glittering supercontinents rose to take their place. We migrated to these new territories willingly, carrying our memories, our relationships, and our creative energy with us. We thought we were moving to a more sophisticated playground, but we were actually walking onto a carefully mapped estate. To understand how a playground becomes a fiefdom, one must look at the nature of ownership. In the physical world, feudalism was defined by land. The lord owned the soil, the water, and the forest, and the peasants worked the land, giving a portion of their harvest to the lord in exchange for protection and the right to exist on that property. Today, the digital lords own the infrastructure. They own the servers, the algorithms, the databases, and the terms of service that dictate what can be said, seen, and done. Our harvest is not wheat or barley. It is our attention, our data, our social connections, and our creative output. Every post you write, every video you upload, every interaction you have with a friend is a crop planted in soil you do not own. You might have millions of followers, a beautifully curated profile, and a sense of influence, but you are still a tenant farmer. If the lord of the platform decides to change the algorithm, your harvest is wiped out overnight. If they decide to lock your account, your digital identity is erased. You have no recourse because you signed away your rights in a terms of service agreement you did not read, an agreement that functions as a modern oath of fealty. This is the quiet tragedy of our digital migration. We sought escape from the rigid hierarchies of the physical world. We wanted a space where merit, creativity, and connection reigned supreme, free from the gatekeepers of old money and physical geography. Yet, in our pursuit of convenience, we have constructed a system that is far more centralized and extractive than the physical societies we left behind. In a medieval fiefdom, the serf at least knew where the boundaries of the estate were. They could look at the castle on the hill and understand the power dynamic. In our digital fiefdoms, the castle is invisible. It is hidden behind friendly, pastel-colored user interfaces, playful notifications, and the illusion of self-expression. We are encouraged to feel like rulers of our own tiny digital kingdoms, customizing our profiles and managing our feeds, while the platform owners quietly collect the rent on every swipe, click, and tap. Let us consider the nature of our labor. In the early days, we played for the sake of playing. We wrote blog posts because we had something to say, we shared photos to show our friends our lives, and we built virtual communities out of shared passions. Today, play has been fully monetized and systematized. We have been taught to quantify our self-worth in likes, views, and engagement metrics. This is not accidental. The gamification of our social lives is the mechanism by which the digital lords ensure we keep tilling the soil. We have become our own overseers, constantly optimizing our output to please an invisible algorithm that we do not understand and cannot control. We have turned our leisure into a form of unpaid piecework, producing the content that keeps the platform alive, while the platform owners sell our attention to the highest bidder. The realization that creeps in is not that we are being watched, but that we are actively participating in our own capture, happily building the walls of our own confinement because the bricks are painted in our favorite colors. We paid for our own containment, not with money, but with our sovereignty. We gave up the messy, unpredictable freedom of the open web for the safety and convenience of the walled garden. And in doing so, we allowed the very concept of public space to be privatized. The digital public square is no longer public. It is a privately owned mall where we are tolerated only as long as we remain profitable consumers or compliant content creators. The moments of genuine connection we find there are real, but they are happening on a leased stage, under the watchful eye of algorithms designed to provoke, distract, and monetize our deepest emotions. If you look away from your screen now and look around your room, you might notice how quiet it is. The physical world remains slow, heavy, and real. The dust motes drift in the light, and the physical objects around you do not demand your data or try to optimize your behavior. Yet, our minds are constantly pulling us back to the digital estates where our virtual lives are stored. We have accepted the role of digital serfs because the alternative, disconnecting entirely, feels like exile from the modern world. We are trapped not by locks and chains, but by our own desire to belong, to be seen, and to play. As you prepare to look back at your screen, to return to the digital lands you cultivate every day, ask yourself this one question. Who actually benefits more from the digital life you have built, the person living it or the landlord hosting it?